Suddenly realized after all these videos, I still haven't talked about the bevel tool. Now, the way the bevel tool works is you go to edge mode, select yourself a ring of edges, edit mesh, bevel. When you start bevel tool, this little window over here pops up. First on that list is fraction, to control how big your bevel is. Then you got segments, make it rounder. Depth controls whether you're beveling the curve going out or in. Technically, you can type in larger numbers, and you can get some pretty interesting results from that. Or even really, really negative numbers. Oh boy. Save that at 1 for the time being. But you can see some interesting uses for the bevel tool. Things to keep in mind when you use a bevel tool, though. You can't just select a single edge or most of an edge loop. You have to go all the way around until both ends connect. Otherwise, what happens if you use the tool, edit mesh, bevel, is you create n-gons. And I've already discussed in my edge flow video why n-gons are bad. But keep in mind that an n-gon is any face with more than 4 vertices or edges. 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's more than 4. That's an n-gon. You don't want that. If I really wanted to have a shape like this, I wouldn't use my bevel tool for it. I use my insert edge loop, grab an edge, and just pull this back, and I get the same shape, but without any n-gons in it. One of my favorite uses for the bevel tool is making wheels. I started off with a cylinder here, lifted this up. And I can just double click and shift double click these 2 edge loops right there. Edit mesh. Keep looking at mesh tools instead of edit mesh. Bevel. Add more segments, and then I can control my fraction to decide how round I want this tire to be. Car tire tend to be fairly round on the corners with a large flat spot in the middle. Working with something that is for racing specifically, they need to have lots of surface area touching the ground, so they tend to have much wider flat areas in the middle. And of course, you got things more like inner tubes when you have really, really round all the way around like that. Although if you're going to make an inner tube, you'd be better off just using a torus. Keep in mind that the more complicated your shape, the riskier the bevel tool can be. So if I start extruding interesting little shapes out of this object right here, not sure what I'm making specifically, but let's say I wanted to have bevels on very specific edges. Well, if I were to select, say, these ones right here, I'll see on the other side alone as a comparison. If I tried beveling this, you can see right away I start getting some issues. For one thing, I've got n-gons where the bevel ends because my loops didn't go all the way around. You get some interesting little twisted faces here. It doesn't really know what to do with it. Case like this, you want to wind up selecting maybe a lot more than you thought you would. all the way around like that. So we can create a loop. And even this might not be enough. Well, it's better. Create a few triangles and a few weird shapes. If I increase my segments, I might get better results. Or I might not. As you can see, a little bit unpredictable sometimes. But like I said, you want to make sure you get loops, closed loops. Never leave your selections hanging like that. Go all the way around, back again. Although, the other option, all right, do that again from scratch real quick. You could try beveling everything all at once. Hit mesh bevel. And then add a segment. You can see slightly better results from that. There. And you can always go back and flatten out the parts that you don't want to be beveled afterwards. By the way, if you wind up with n-gons, even if you did everything I just said, you can still fix them sometimes by adding segments. And if you want to keep this flat edge, just go your depth and set to 0, and you get a flat edge regardless. Is geometry perfect? I think you could probably improve a few places, but it is better than having n-gons everywhere. This is also useful if you want to have a cube with round corners. I just select the entire object, edit mesh, bevel, increase my subdivisions. Now I've got a cube with round corners. A lot of uses for bevel tool. Just be careful when you're using it, because it does tend to walk hand in hand with n-gons.